So we're not a large producer, and as natural gas prices have been softening, of course, we're seeing production declines in the province. So we have approximately 20,000 gas wells in 2009, with a remaining recoverable reserves of about 2.9 trillion cubic feet. Also on the graph shows the non-associated gas that was produced at 192 billion cubic feet, and the value of sales from natural gas sits at around $743 million. The next graph shows, or the next table here shows the relative amounts of crude, initial oil in place, initial gas in place, reserves, and the remaining reserves. What's really important to note here is that although we had 45.6 billion barrels of crude oil in place in Saskatchewan, only around 13% of that is recoverable based on present technology. That remaining 87% represents a huge opportunity in Saskatchewan with the advances in technology. And of course, we're already seeing that the advances in technology around horizontal wells and staged hydraulic fracturing is allowing unattainable production from formations like the Bakken to now be a hot, exciting, technology-driven play. And the economic opportunity on our heavy oil reserves, which is the one I want to illustrate next, is really the key to where Saskatchewan will be going in the future. Also on the natural gas side, although the remaining established reserves is 2.9 billion barrels, we had a joint study with the National Energy Board last year, which concluded that there's as much as 5.3 TCF out there that is technically recoverable but not yet found. But back to the oil, and a good illustration is around our heavy oil resources. We see an initial oil in place of 22.9 billion barrels, but only 10% of that is technically recoverable at this point. And over 50, as I said before, over 50% of our resource lies in heavy oil. So we have 20.8 billion barrels of heavy oil out there waiting for technology to extract that. And that is a big objective with the government of Saskatchewan, is around doing what it can to promote and to realize recovery from this huge opportunity. Capture as much heavy oil as possible. So growth in our production has, as I said, we've doubled our production over the last 20 years. That has been accompanied by development of excellent support infrastructure, and that will go a long way into developing our future, or securing our future. This includes an extensive transportation networks, crude oil refining, upgrading, and including the first heavy oil upgrader in Canada. Saskatchewan has about 140,000 barrels per day of upgrading capacity, 114,000 barrels per day of refining capacity. The upgrading capacity includes 60,000 barrels a day at New Grade in Regina, as well as 82,000 barrels per day at the Husky upgrader in Lloydminster. The refining capacity includes 100,000 barrels per day at the refinery in Regina, and a smaller 14,000 barrel per day refinery in Moose Jaw. And this capacity does not include an expansion of the Regina refinery, which is going on right now, and capacity will be increased to 130,000 barrels per day. The province also has an extensive network of pipelines. This diagram here shows some of the many crude oil pipelines that are located in Saskatchewan, and as you can see, the easy access and important connections that we have to both Eastern Canada as well as the United States. Saskatchewan exports 65 to 70% of its crude oil to the United States, primarily to Illinois and Minnesota. So governments, industry, and research organizations have invested heavily into expanding our world-class research capacity. That capacity exists at the PTRC, the Petroleum Technology Research Centre, the Saskatchewan Research Council, and the Universities of Saskatchewan and Regina. Research at the PTRCs includes the joint implementation of vapor extraction, among many other great initiatives out there. The PTRC is a wonderful organization to coordinate industry and academia into providing very, very good research. It also includes, and I need to take a breath here, the International Energy Agency Greenhouse Gas Weyburn-Midale Carbon Dioxide Monitoring and Storage Project. And you've probably all heard of Weyburn, and the great news it has around the Weyburn CO2 flood, the increased recovery from that 50-year-old pool, and the use of carbon dioxide in a responsible way to increase our recovery, increase our resource conservation, as well as permanently sequester the carbon dioxide. The only thing bigger than the name of that project itself is it's one of its largest of its kind in the world. In 2004, Saskatchewan officially opened the Canadian Light Source Synchrotron, which that's what you see up there on the screen, the largest scientific research facility to be built in Canada in the last 30 years. Very exciting for academia and for industry. So as you can see, the exciting opportunities exist right now in the oil and gas industry in our province. Most notably is the potential recoverable oil in place that I've talked about, which includes extensive heavy oil resources. There is also underexplored oil and natural gas potential throughout the province. And if you saw a map of the province and the developed oil fields, you'll see that we're just around the margins of the province. There's a huge potential in about 80 million acres of sedimentary basin that the province possesses. There's also potential for discovery and development of additional shallow natural gas pools in southwestern Saskatchewan. Active exploration for the oil sands is also being conducted in northwest Saskatchewan, adjacent to the massive Athabasca oil sands deposit. It doesn't stop at the border. Oil shale also exists in east central Saskatchewan. And I'd be happy to talk about both of those opportunities later on. The bottom line is that application of new technology holds excellent promise in Saskatchewan. We've seen that demonstrated in the Bakken play. Our production has grown from 500 barrels a day to 60,000 barrels a day. That technology is also being used in other tight oil reservoirs throughout the province, the Shaunavon of the Southwest, the Viking of West Central Saskatchewan. We have a bird bear emerging play in West Central Saskatchewan as well, a heavy oil reservoir known about for years. All of these reservoirs have been known about for years. Vertical well technology, water floods, etc., are not getting what we need out of these reservoirs. Technology around horizontal wells, stage hydraulic fracturing are working in Saskatchewan. We've laid an enabling fiscal regime to help industry meet its upfront costs before when taking these risks, and it is working in Saskatchewan. To sum up, we have the crude oil and we have the natural gas resources. Plenty yet to find. We have opportunities and advantages that make us attractive for investment around better extracting the resources that we have found. And we have the necessary infrastructure and expertise for it, the research, right in the province of Saskatchewan. I want to thank you for your time. I don't think I have any more slides. Oh yes, I do have an important slide. I want you all to come and meet us and see us at our booth. I have a good cross-section of staff from the ministry there, engineers, geologists, royalties experts. Enterprise Saskatchewan have people at the booth as well. And please come join us, meet us at our booth. And we have plenty of handout material, more details on what Chris and I have talked about today. And I would like to thank you very much for your time and your attention.